Okay, Sean Cornett back here again. We're going to go into some power tips for gathering customers in the state of Texas. Obviously things are dramatically different between Texas and the other two states that we have right now, New York and Illinois. I'm going to use this as the backbone, the four-step process that of course you should already have seen. If you haven't, you need to go back and watch it, which is Brian's basic training on customer gathering, and then I've got an advanced training where I go into more detail on his basic 4 steps. That you need to watch those 2 videos first. But this one I'm going to go into some specific detail on tips for Texas. When you get to this step 4, talking about the facts about the service, and I've already talked about it, but all you need to do here is make it make sense, okay? It needs to be a logical decision for them to give you their business. But, once again, to reiterate, you have to have established that you are committed, that this is something that you've got some conviction behind. This isn't just a fly-by-night thing that you've just, you're given a try. This isn't just another networking deal and you need a favor, you need a few customers because you need a qualification. Okay, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that stuff necessarily. But in my opinion, it needs to be a logical decision that makes sense for them. And if it doesn't, then I don't expect them to switch. Here's how you make it a logical decision. Well, there's 2 things you can do in Texas. Of course, you've got to do a price quote. You've got to quote them a price. And look at their situation, who they're with now, and does it make logical sense for them to switch. Here's the reality in Texas. It may not make sense immediately, but it will. It's a matter of timing. Okay, because of contracts and everything that people are tied up in Texas, you may do a rate quote right now, and it may not make sense because of the fluctuations in the market. Let's just give you an example. You know, right now rates are extremely cheap. It's 2010, it's June right now, and this is like a freak time. I've been in the business for more than 3 years now, and I've never seen rates this low, especially for the summertime. And so, here's the deal. If, for instance, rates start rising in the next 6 months significantly, next 6 to 12 months, okay, you're going to get a situation where regardless of whether somebody's with TXU or Ambit or Reliant or any of the other companies, they might have locked in a point in time when the entire market was cheap. And so if Ambit is at 12 cents per kilowatt 6 months from now, and they locked in back when the entire field of market was cheaper, you know, it may not make sense immediately until their contract comes up. Okay? There's a lot of moving variables, but here's the deal. First thing you do is you see if they're in a contract. And if they are in a contract, then you know it has to make logical sense for them to break it, for them to switch. You do a price quote, see how much you're going to save them on a monthly basis. Take a look at the numbers. If their cancellation is $150, but they're going to save $50 a month, and they've got 6 or more months left in the contract, it makes a lot of logical sense to switch. Okay, that would be a good move. And maybe you can work with them on that and see what you can do to help them out to switch and make those numbers make sense. If they're not in a contract, then it's quite a simple factor of do a rate quote, see what they're truly paying, take a look at the bill. You've got to look at the bill, folks. You cannot you cannot just let them look at the bill or tell them what their rate is or have them tell you what the rate is, because most bills disguise and hide the true rate that they're getting. And it's just the way it is. But you've got to look at it, you know, look at the total, divide it out, and see what their true rate that they're paying is. So if they're not in a contract, you do a rate quote, and if you're cheaper, then the bottom line is yes, you should expect to get their business because you are bringing value to them. That is where it needs to be a logical decision that makes sense for them. That's what step 4 is all about, just making it be a logical decision for them. Okay, so if they're in a contract, you got to see if it makes sense to cancel that contract, to switch. If it doesn't, then you just put a reminder on your calendar. You call them a month before their contract is up so that you can get their business then. If they're not in a contract, then you do a rate quote. As long as we save them money, you should have a customer because you're bringing value to them. You don't need to go into the free gift, the reward points, the free energy. That stuff works much better if you wait till after you get them as a customer, and that reinforces the buying decision. Now here's the other thing that you can bring. Okay, this is a part of you branding yourself as a professional in this industry, as a energy consultant, the exact name that we have. Okay, You want to be their industry insider. You want to be their contact point for energy. They need to have confidence in you, not just in Ambit. And if they don't have confidence in you, then you can't lend Ambit any credibility. It just doesn't work that way. But here's the way it works, okay? When you're talking to them, you've got to let them know that you know what you're talking about. Okay, it's not just about running a price quote. You've got more value to bring than that. Okay, you can let them know that, hey, typically rates are cheaper in the summertime. Contracts are cheaper in the summertime. I'm sorry, I had that exactly backwards. Typically, rates are more expensive in the summertime. So normally, and this right now, today is an exception, June of 2010 is an exception to the rule, but normally you do not want to sign a yearly contract in the summertime, because when they come to renew next summer, once again, on average, rates are more expensive. So if you renew every year on a yearly contract in the summertime, you're going to be paying on average more. So right now, typically, or in a normal situation, what I would do is I would have somebody do a 6-month contract so that we can flip the time of year on them, and that they renew on a yearly basis every year on the wintertime, when rates are typically cheaper. And then in the wintertime, maybe they do a 1 or a 2-year contract, so that every time that they renew, it's always in the winter months. And we, have a 3-month contract as well. Well, it depends on the time that you're watching this. We sometimes have a 3-month contract available, and if it's late summer, maybe you do a 3-month contract just to get them into the winter months. You want to try and center it to where they're renewing their contract in the heart of winter, because in Texas that's just when rates are generally speaking cheaper. But right now, as an exception to the rule, if you're watching this and it's somewhere around June of 2010, this is a freak situation. I've never seen rates this cheap. So now might be the exception to the rule. Maybe it does make sense for them to do the year or even the 2-year contract, because that, 11.1 cents or whatever, somewhere around 11 cents is the 2-year. That's a great deal, folks. And this is what you can get across, your inside knowledge. This is the value that you can bring as a consultant for them. It's not just about simply making it make a logical decision. Okay, you can actually provide enough value to where even if we're like, a little bit more expensive than the competitor, they could still give you their business, because you're providing other value beyond that. And that's where they're going to get a sense of confidence, and their uneasiness and fear of the unknown is going to disappear if you can share with them that this is something that you know what you're talking with them about, that you are an industry insider that they can rely on. Now, hey, if this is just a part-time ho-hum business for you and you're not willing to go that extra mile, then I'm sorry. You're not going to do well in the business. But this, if you want to be a professional and do this thing right, that's what you need to get across to your customers. And if you do this right, you will have no problem getting customers. I guarantee it. This is where most people make their mistakes. So I hope that all makes sense. And if you follow it, I guarantee that it'll work, especially with people that you know and have a relationship with. Follow the 4 steps, make it make sense, and share with them your inside knowledge and your commitment, your conviction, and your professionalism, that this is your business now, this is what you do, and you're bringing to them more than just a rate savings. You're bringing them, a personal inside experience and knowledge into the industry. I appreciate your time. Hope it's been beneficial. As always, if you have any questions, give me a call. Have a great day.